Because I was there with my precious husband when he needed me. And I knew it wouldn't last forever. And this morning, if you will allow me to share with you for me, it's a very personal and an intimate level, understanding that God has given me in the waiting room. And I'm not talking about the surgery waiting room. I'm not talking about the doctor's office. I'm talking about a waiting room that is not of this world. God's waiting room. Did you know God has a waiting room? And I think I need to repeat that for someone here. God has a waiting room. God has a waiting room. And you know, some of you are here this morning and you've wondered why your prayers have not been answered the way you think they should have. Some of you are ready to throw in the towel of faith. Some of you moms, some of you dads that are here, because the wait has been so long, you're wondering, God, are you even hearing my prayers? Does prayer even work? I feel like somebody here this morning has thought that this week. Is prayer really worth it? Because God has allowed you to take a seat in His waiting room. You are not out of the will of God when you're sitting in the waiting room. God has you sitting right here because He's ready to give you something that's greater than your prayer being answered. He's getting ready to infuse inside of you a greater treasure than you getting your prayer answered or your healing or your miracle. I'm not saying it's not going to come. It will come. It will come. But I want to talk to you about the Master's waiting room this morning. I want somebody to know here today that there's gold in the waiting room. There's gold, there's treasure in the waiting room. Sometimes we get our sights so set on getting what we're after from God. And He's saying, no, I've got something better for you. Sit in the waiting room. And we're so blinded and so focused on my miracle, my answer, that we blindly walk by the greater treasures that He's trying to put inside of us and give to us. And I stand before you this morning a changed person. I am a different person today than I was last year when I stood behind this pulpit. Not because I got my miracle. I'm thankful. But because God allowed me to sit in the waiting room. That's what has changed me. That's what has changed me. And I'm going to ask you to pardon my personal reference throughout this message. I usually do not try to do that, and I don't like to do that. But I felt the Lord encourage me to share with you some personal things this morning.